This is Trevor Benko, CEO of TGB Supplements.
And this is Ben Jordan, CEO of TGB Supplements.
And today we're going to do a video talking about Anamorelin. Anamorelin is a new oral growth hormone secretagogue that recently hit the market, and there's a lot of hype behind it. We're going to talk about some of the potential benefits and possible uses for bodybuilding. But before we get started, I just want to say this is not medical advice. This is for research and educational purposes only. Don't do anything that we say here. We're just giving you some information that's out there right now. You can find it on the internet. So to get started here, the first thing I think we should talk about is that Anamorelin is the second oral growth hormone secretagogue to hit the market. The first one was MK677, which has gained a lot of popularity recently, being that it is an oral form. What differs Anamorelin from the MK677 is that it increases ghrelin, which is the appetite hormone.
Yeah, what ghrelin does is our intestines, they're kind of ribbed, so the ghrelin relaxes the intestinal walls to allow more food to be packed into them, so you don't quite feel as full as fast.
Yeah, and a lot of the studies that have been done were in cancer patients and people that have muscle wasting disorders or diseases, and usually, you experience a significant drop in your appetite when you're going through chemotherapy, and you have one of these disorders, you usually lose a lot of weight. Well, with the studies that were done, many of the patients were actually gaining weight or at least maintaining weight, which is a huge plus. I mean, that's unbelievable that there's something out there that can even do that.
Yeah, I mean, you have somebody who is, they're muscle wasting, I mean, they're just losing muscle tissue, and they can gain 2 to 3, 4 pounds of muscle tissue over a 12-week period of time. I mean, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah, I mean, it's something it's kind of hard to believe, to be honest with you, especially being that it's an oral form, because most of the time when you take a growth hormone, secretagogue or any type of growth hormone, it usually needs to be injected to be effective.
Yeah, and some of the studies, the Anamorelin being more potent than the MK, I think they claim the MK was giving around 4 to 6 IUs of like a pharmaceutical growth hormone, the same effects.
Yeah, I was hearing like 3 to 5, so that's pretty impressive right off the bat. I mean, that's usually where all the health benefits are with growth hormone anyway. And if you can get your body to produce that naturally via the pituitary, I mean, that's the way I would go. I mean, yeah. No doubt about it.
With the bodybuilding aspect of the Anamorelin, what we've seen with a few people that have used it, there is a little bit more water retention with the Anamorelin versus the MK.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not uncommon to see a sudden increase in weight. I mean, pretty drastic if you're eating a lot of carbs and you're training hard. I mean, we've seen guys put on 20 pounds in 3 weeks, which is pretty crazy. And it's something that could be concerning as far as side effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could have blood pressure increase. I mean, that's such a rapid weight increase that your body it hasn't adapted to it yet.
Yeah, it can't quite get used to it. You could not only get the blood pressure increase, but it could actually put a lot of taxing toll on your kidneys, which is definitely a tough thing.
Yeah, I mean, you will get a increase in IGF and GH, which is going to cause a decrease in your insulin sensitivity. So, I mean, that's a good thing because it's doing what it's designed to do. It's a bad thing because we're not as sensitive to the carbs that we take in then.
Yeah, so over time that can become an issue. So, I wouldn't run Anamorelin for extremely long periods. I mean, I mean, from what I'm seeing, I'm thinking like maybe 8 to 12 weeks max. Yeah. And then you would probably want to take a break, or what you could do would be to take something to help increase insulin sensitivity, like an RALA or berberine hydrochloride. Performax Labs has a product called Slinmax that I really like. It's an insulin mimetic, natural, has some really good ingredients, has the berberine hydrochloride, has I think NARALA,
yeah,
which is fantastic, powerful antioxidant.
Yeah, I mean,
good product.
Some of the guys that we have incoming using insulin just with the regular RALA, they can cut their usage in half.
Yeah, so if a diabetic or a type 2 diabetic, somebody that's prescribed insulin, if they take one of these products, the insulin mimetics, a lot of times they can actually get a lot more use from their insulin because it's causing the cells to open more efficiently and actually act with the insulin, allowing the insulin to work more effectively, which prevents a lot of the side effects and issues that can come with high doses of insulin, like swelling of the limbs, weight gain. A lot of it's water, usually water retention.
Right, and another good thing with the glucose disposal agent like the Slinmax, you're probably going to be taking on a lot of carbs with the Anamorelin just from the big increase of appetite. It's a glucose disposal agent. It's kind of like a crutch, so it kind of shuttles the extra carbs into muscle cells and away from fat cells, so most of it won't be stored as fat then.
Yeah, and Anamorelin is a potent transporter of IGF-1, like Ben was saying. It helps shuttle it to the receptor sites, which is a huge benefit when you're trying to put on muscle tissue. It really makes a big difference.
Yeah. And another thing that you could take is huperzine A. It's kind of looked into for controlling somatostatin, which is an enzyme that we release to help kind of control how much growth hormone we can release. Yeah. So, I mean, it helps so your body doesn't. It's kind of like a negative feedback loop, I guess.
A lot of times we'll actually start to produce, what would you call those? I wouldn't say they're enzymes, but our body becomes, it realizes that we have an excess of growth hormone, and it starts to actually fight that. And that's what Ben's talking about. It's almost like a negative feedback loop. So a lot of guys that are using high doses of growth hormone, that's something that does happen. I believe our body produces the antibodies. That's what I was looking for. And that's something that happens with. We believe it could happen with Anamorelin as well, due to the increase in transporting IGF-1 and the decrease in blood sugar.
Yeah, I mean, using something like the Slim Max, you could probably use the Anamorelin longer because it's helping to keep that blood glucose level in check, so you wouldn't have to worry about that negative side effect.
Yeah, and I believe from the studies that have been done, there haven't been any like serious complaints or
it seems to be well tolerated.
Yeah, well tolerated in the patients, and being that they're already struggling with such serious catabolic diseases, that's always a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call it be a downside of the Anamorelin compared to the MK677 is the half-life. Anamorelin has a 6 to 7 hour half-life. The MK is very convenient with a 24-hour half-life. So, I mean, if you dose it at the same time every day, it's going to be stable.
Yeah, it's like an all-day pulse. I mean, that's the MK677. It's a 24-hour pulse, which is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there's not too much, like we were saying, research done with this in the bodybuilding aspect. I mean, I've heard of some guys piggybacking the MK with the Anamorelin before bed. That's commonly when the Anamorelin is taken for the large increase of the growth hormone and IGF. We're repairing and growing while we sleep.
Yeah. Now, with the Anamorelin, is that something that they're saying to avoid carbs in the evening before taking it?
Yeah, you want to avoid them like a half hour to an hour before it if you can.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people have said with the MK677 or other growth hormone secreting dogs.
Pharmaceutical growth hormone, you want to kind of avoid an insulin spike around it.
Yeah.
That's to get the benefit of the IGF.
Exactly. Yeah. If you eat those carbohydrates, it prevents the IGF from actually the conversion of IGF-1. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty impressive compound. It seems to be very promising, especially for those looking to put on size or put on weight. I'm surprised it hasn't got more interest out there already.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of new, you know what I mean, for the bodybuilding aspect. There's not too many companies out there that's kind of producing it.
I think I've seen one article out there.
Yeah,
about
I believe so.
And as far as bodybuilding purposes, that's about it, which is surprising.
I think it's going to pick up, though. I mean, it seems to be there's a really good synergistic effect between any type of anabolic compound and like the Anamorelin or the MK.
Yeah, it's almost like growth hormone. You know, when guys are using anabolics or muscle building compounds, usually these growth hormone secretagogues or growth hormone in general, I mean, it really almost gives you an added multiplier type of effect.
Right. I mean, because like oral anabolics, they cause a large increase in IGF. Stack that with like an Anamorelin, it's pretty good.
And there's a lot of talk about IGF-1 kind of being the key to muscle building.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely something to it. And with these products or these ingredients, you're really going to have a noticeable increase that you can actually see on a blood test. Which is also something that's always good when you can actually get a blood test done to see if something's working or at least working for you. That's always a positive.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some trial and error for a little bit for the guys. I mean, until they get everything figured out, dosage-wise, timing, what they can get the most out of the Anamorelin. I mean, it'd be kind of cool with the guys on the forums if you start using, say, some Anamorelin. If you're liking it, get some blood work done, see how your blood glucose levels are affected after a few weeks, maybe a month.
Yeah, and another thing about the Anamorelin is they're saying that it doesn't have an impact on what the the
somatotropic axis.
Yeah, that's
like the negative feedback.
Yeah, the negative feedback.
Like a testosterone would with the hypothalamus, pituitary, testicular axis.
They're saying that it doesn't have an impact there.
So it won't lower your natural levels that you produce.
And also, it doesn't affect prolactin, cortisol. It's not supposed to have a negative impact on the insulin. And I believe, what is it? The the adrenals, I think. It doesn't impact the adrenals as
Right.
well.
Yep.
Also, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone. There wasn't any noticeable impact.
Yeah, I think the adrenals were with cortisol.
The cortisol.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I mean the insulin levels, they do go back, like we were saying. There's no negative feedback with the insulin, but you will notice a drop in blood sugar from the elevated IGF while you're using the Anamorelin.
Yeah, and you know, that's something that you got to be careful with. You know, you want to be prepared just in case you do get a drop in blood sugar. It's always good to keep either some glucose tablets, just in case of an emergency, or I always like to keep a pack of Lance crackers. You know, when I had some issues with hypoglycemia for a while, just reactive hypoglycemia, and I used to carry a pack of peanut butter crackers with me just in case.
It'd probably be smart the first time you use the Anamorelin to do it earlier on in the day. I know I spoke with one customer and he took it before bed and he woke up in a pool of sweat. You know,
yeah.
Blood sugar drops. I mean, it's a common thing and it's a good effect.
Yeah.
But just not good while you're sleeping.
No, yeah. If that happens when you're sleeping, that could be very scary. It could definitely cause some issues. But one thing about taking it in the morning is your sensitivity to insulin's higher, right, and you may be more likely to have that little drop.
You can mitigate that, get some carbs in you pretty quick.
Yeah, eat some carbs and just stay on top of it. Like Ben said, it's better to take it when you're awake than when you're sleeping.
Yep.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, it seems to be a very interesting compound. You know, I think it's got a ton of benefits, especially for those that are hard gainers and have a hard time putting on weight. Just by the appetite increase alone, I mean, you're going to put on some size.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been anybody we haven't spoke to that hasn't gained crazy weight off of it.
Yeah, I mean, the weight gains that we've seen in people using it has been substantial. I mean, very impressive as far as the potency. As far as availability, I think this is going to be something that's going to be harder to find.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really out there.
It might honestly pick up a little bit once guys start to use it more and it gets more of a following. We might see some of the guys start producing more of it for a while.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the MK.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as of right now, it's pretty rare. There's not a whole lot of people out there making it. And, you know, that's probably because it's so new and, you know, it's different. A lot of people don't know about it. So if you stumbled across this video, you know, you're probably going to be wondering what this stuff is and where you can find it. So, you know, with the internet, I'd say, you know, do your best, check it out, look for some more studies, do some research.
Yeah, check on the forums. You know what I mean? If you get on a forum and you see some good following guys that's posting a lot, they kind of steer you in the right direction.
Yep. But, I mean, that pretty much covers it, I think, for Anamorelin.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to email us or contact us through Facebook, Instagram. You know, please follow our YouTube. And we got more videos coming. And like I said in the previous video, we're still working on the Anabolic Cartel podcast. It should be up and running within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So if you get a chance, keep an eye out for that. Until then, I guess we'll be talking to you again here soon. Take care.